got?
Well, you guys are World Series champions. It's set in now, about 36 hours now?
I don't think it's going to set in until we see our fans today. I mean, it was great to come back yesterday and have a couple hundred of them here at Minute Maid Park and see the people at the airport and people pulling off along the highway to cheer us on. But I think today, it's when we see the people in Houston celebrating, I think that's when it's going to hit for me.
Yeah, I mean, I took the trophy home last night, so I feel pretty good, and kept it overnight and enjoyed every minute of it. But I agree with Jeff. I think the fans and sharing this with the city. It hasn't hit home quite yet. I think as it'll trickle out a little bit as you meet people, you see people. But for me, driving around the city with the trophy is pretty cool.
Was there an agreement to hold the parade within 48 hours after the win with the city and not have it on Saturday?
I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that Friday is a good day to do it. There's people downtown. People are excited. People want to celebrate with us, so it worked out perfectly for us.
What did you do with the trophy?
Well, I slept by it, but I took it. I called Jeff actually on the way home, and I said, "Listen, I got the trophy in case, there's some sort of in case there's some sort of issue." But I took it over to some really close friends of ours, and their kids got to see it. My kids got to see it. My kids got to see it on the stage, which was cool in L.A. But I drove it around. I took it this morning to breakfast with Phil Garner. That was cool, a good experience for me. So I know this trophy is going to get passed around. I sort of hijacked it for the first night because I was the last one in the clubhouse last night. I just happened to walk by it and said, I'm going to take it. So I asked for forgiveness after I took it, but it was cool.
When you have it in your possession like that, does it kind of represent the culmination of all the work you put into baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I've just never, this is all new for me and for all of us, really. And so to be able to soak as much of it in. Everybody that's ever had advice, I've got a ton of text messages from coaches around the country, different sports, different levels, ex-players, friends. They're all telling me to soak it up. They're all telling me to take a lot of pictures and videos because at some point this passes and we move into the future and you want to enjoy this as much as you can. So I'm taking them up on it, and it does represent a lot of hard work and a lot of people from years of being in this organization, much before me, but it was an experience I wanted to enjoy.
Can you talk about what it's like to not only have won the World Series, but the way you did it? You beat three of the most storied franchises to get there. I mean, how do you make gratitude for it?
You want that one? You want me to?
Go ahead.
For me, it doesn't matter who you play, where you play, how many games you played. We played almost the most games you can play in a postseason to win the World Series. We didn't have to play the wild card game because we won the division. We didn't have to play Game 5 against Boston because we won in 4. But 2 Game 7s, really 3 Game 7s if you count Game 6 in the championship series, which was an elimination game. How we did it is a great story after the fact. I think when you're going through it, you just want to win every game and do the best you can. But going through some pretty hefty franchises that have more than one trophy that we're carrying around today will be memorable as we move forward. We hope to build on our trophy case. Obviously this is the first in franchise history, and we knocked off some people that have enjoyed this moment that we're enjoying now over the last 100 years. But it doesn't matter how you do it.
Jeff, it sounded like Correa told a couple reporters after the game that he was playing with an injured thumb. Since the ALCS, it sounded like, how bad was his thumb? And how did that
not enough to not play. I think what I realized more so this year than ever watching our players that they were really at the end of their gas tank. I mean, this is a lot of baseball. We're played into November. There wasn't a single guy that felt good, including the coaching staff. And we're all beat up at the end of this run because of the emotional roller coaster you go through, the physical grind that happens. To a man, these guys played through a lot of different things. During the year, yes. In the postseason, I mean, you'd have to rip these dudes off the field for them not to be able to play. So, yes, we had players dealing with certain things. None of it was to the point where we feared that they weren't going to be able to play. And I love how our guys posted at the end.
On that note, I really have to give a lot of credit to our training staff, our strength and conditioning coaches, and our doctors. They were a key part of this victory. They're the guys that don't get talked about, but they kept everybody healthy. I will tell you that we had 7 or 8 guys that were operating on fumes towards the end. Obviously, they got up every day and they made sure that they were 100% effort, but our training staff did a tremendous job. You had a question back there?
Just a victory for the people of Houston. You have a lot of team members from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who've been paying so much attention to this. If there's a message for the people of New Mexico, what would that be?
Well, I mean, if you're part of our Astro Nation, so to speak, you know, we love all the support. I mean, if you go through our team, and I assume this is reference to Alex Bregman, you know, he's had a terrific, you know, entrance into the big leagues. Each one of these players have a history somewhere, and some are in this country, some are out of this country, and it took so much support for these guys to be their best on the biggest stage. So to New Mexico, to Puerto Rico, to the West Coast, the East Coast, Venezuela, you know, Dominican, we're represented on so many levels in so many places. You know, this championship is for you. This is, and it goes back, and again, I'll just keep rambling on. It goes back to like the Jeff Bagwells and Lance Berkman and Craig Biggio and Enos Cabell, you know, tearing up at the thought of us being world champions. And I think that's what starts to resonate with players, is how many people in their own story that represented them and supported them, and then obviously Astro alumni that are literally celebrating with us, you know, from around the world.
And on that note, you, my friend, represent Mexico in a sense. Después de que llegas y tuviste esas temporadas de 100 derrotas consecutivas, hubo un momento, o sea, ese es tu momento cúspide, un momento que se culmina ese esfuerzo, pero hubo un momento en que, como ser humano, dudaste de esta situación. For my English-speaking guys, in this tenure that he's been here, for the losing seasons, 100-plus losing seasons, was there any moment where you doubted your project, doubted yourself that this was going to work?
In English, no. I didn't doubt that we were going to turn this organization into a winning organization. Now, you can never guarantee yourself a championship. We played 3 historic, excellent teams, and we were fortunate to come out on top. It could have gone the other way. But when you put your organization in a spot where you can have a shot at it a couple years in a row, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, you got a good chance to do it, and that's all you can really hope for. Nunca dudé que íbamos a tener un equipo capaz de ganar un campeonato, pero mucho tiene que ocurrir durante esos campeonatos, durante esas competiciones para llegar a este punto. Tuvimos suerte, tuvimos energía, tenemos peloteros excelentes, pero los otros equipos también los tienen. Pero el plan de nosotros siempre fue a construir un equipo capaz de llegar a este punto y tomar varios chances a un campeonato.
AJ, you guys are savoring the moment, but is it too early to talk about 2018 or how much of the team will be intact?
Yes, it is too early.
After the parade.
I barely slept, let alone thought about 2018.
AJ, if invited, will you take your team to Trump's White House as customary for the pro teams?
Yeah, I knew that question was coming. You know, and I'm not going to go on too long of a comment on this, but we just won the first world championship in Houston Astros history, and we also are in one of the most divided countries, polarizing countries in politics. I don't know that this is the best stage for everybody to declare one way or the other and try to kind of comment on the moment and be, you know, too much of a political statement. I believe in celebrating these championships. I believe that our organization should bask in the glory of what this work has done from years that Jeff has been here through me and in our long history. What comes out of this moving forward on the political side, or what we do or don't do, or what sports has turned into representing the kind of the country's tone, will have to be decided in time. We're not going to allow anything to polarize this moment that we want to celebrate with our fans.
Quickly, you talked about the physical exhaustion towards the end. What played into it? I mean, there had to be a mental component, and I also think the camaraderie amongst the players. What were those extra pieces that you think pushed you through at those last games?
We have to remember, we started early because of the World Baseball Classic. So these guys have been going for almost 9 months, and it is exhausting even in spring training and then every day during the season. I think one of the things that AJ did a really good job of this year was making sure that our regular players got rest. And we also had a couple of opportunities for our starters to get some rest, not by design because they were injured. But all of that led to guys being healthier and more energetic in September. I also gave a shout out to our medical staff. They were critical of it. critical component of it. But I also think that when you have a chance to win, you do what you have to do. And these guys wanted to pick each other up. It was a team effort out there. Every member of that roster helped us get to this point, and that was a big part of it. They wanted to help each other out, and they all saw the goal.
Jeff, can you just talk about the fact that the players bought in, the fans bought into the approach, because it started and it was rocky and it was a long road. Just, have you thought about yet, like, okay, it worked, you had a plan, you obviously thought it would work, but actually getting here and that you had the time to build it the way you guys wanted to?
Well, not everybody bought in. We had to really convince people, and early in this process, as some of you in this room know, Jim and I met with season ticket holders to explain that we were going to be transparent, we were going to be honest with them, it was going to take some time, there was going to be some rough patches ahead, and of course there were. But I got to give our ownership a ton of credit, Jim Crane a ton of credit. He stuck with the plan. He trusted the people in baseball operations. He did a lot to support us. He said when the time came, he would support us with resources. We did that. We had a great offseason last year. We went out and signed a bunch of free agents and made some trades, and then we had obviously a big acquisition this year by bringing in Justin Verlander. So ownership did a great job of supporting us. Our baseball operations staff, they don't get talked about enough, that we've got a tremendous group of executives and scouts and field staff helping our players develop. Correa was a great pick in the draft, so was Bregman. That's credit to our scouts. But they weren't ready for the big leagues when they got to our organization. We had a lot of coaches, a lot of people along the way that helped them be ready. And one of the things that our organization does well is when we promote players, when we promoted Springer, Correa, Bregman, McCullers, Musgrove, Devenski, they're ready to compete at this level. Back in 2012, 2013, we were promoting a lot of players just to see if they were ready. We didn't know the answer, but as we became more comfortable with our staff and our process, we got lucky on a lot of these players because they were ready, but you put yourself in a position to be lucky by having good people in your organization.
Jeff and AJ, this time last year in 16, you guys didn't make the playoffs. I remember you sitting here and there was some frustration and hey, this is not good enough because you had the really good run in 15. How important do you think that feeling was to push you over the top, whether it was going after Beltran or Reddick, fixing some of your, filling some of your holes and really getting this organization to the next step?
Well, I only know it from the time that I came in 2015, but I want to share with you a story about Altuve. When I first sat with him in my office, we talked a lot about getting better. We talked a lot about the 100-loss season. We talked a lot about just the grind that had taken its toll. And I asked him one question. I said, why don't we talk about winning? And once we started talking about winning, I think from an organizational standpoint, it raised the bar. Then we won. And that made that 2016 feeling you're talking about horrible because we had a winning season, nearly the same amount of wins that we had in 15, but we didn't get to celebrate. Going to 2017 with a new team and new goals, we had this little burn in us at the beginning of the season that never stopped, and to accomplish that goal raises the bar even higher. Like we're going to talk about winning a lot now, and obviously as we get into the next season, and we'll have another session to talk about it. We're going to have to handle success equally as well, if not better, than we handled the failure when we first got into this. That for me is one of the most exciting challenges. But getting to this point, raising the bar in this organization, having it be a winning organization, not just on a win total, but on an accomplishment total, is pretty remarkable.
On a personal level for you, you're with these guys, 9 months of the season, just to see them celebrating, just to sit back. I don't know if you took a moment just to kind of see what was going on, but to see these guys have so much fun out there with a trophy, what was that like? That's
the best feeling. It's the best feeling in the world as a coach. I mean, the only thing I can relate it to is being a parent, when you see that your kids have success. And I'm not old enough to be these guys' dads, but I am proud enough to act like it. And to watch our guys, these are the biggest smiles, the best celebrations, the best hugs you can possibly imagine on a baseball field. It's thrilling. I mean, there's nothing like it to watch, George Springer go from, having to talk about strikeouts in 2015 to getting moved in the order to the leadoff spot to being told at the World Series, you're not doing good enough after the first game. He struck out 4 times against Clayton Kershaw to win in the World Series MVP. I mean, there's a lot of emotion that goes involved in that when you're in charge of leading them on the field. That's just one story of many. But the moment that these guys run in that dog pile in the middle of the field, that first champagne that comes on after we get into the clubhouse is hard to describe because it's hard to get that feeling. It's hard to find the team that really resonates with that feeling. So I loved every second of it, and I want to do it again.
I also have to say, I never knew our relievers could run so fast. They sprinted.
I mean, look, at the end of that game, think about this picture. We have a TV in the clubhouse. I mean, it's clubhouse in the dugout that's really big, and it shows their bullpen and our bullpen, and so nobody can really do anything when somebody's warming up. If I want to get a pinch hitter ready, et cetera, we can pay attention to our reliever. I have Dallas Keuchel and Justin Verlander warming up in Game 7 of the World Series, both as relievers. Both may be coming in for 1 out apiece to win the World Series. And I'm looking out at Charlie Morton, who the front office was steadfast that he was going to be a difference maker on our team coming off an injury-riddled season, pitching, his heart out. I'll never get that picture again because that never happens. The two top pitchers on our team warming up just in case, another one of our pitchers needs some help in the 9th inning of the 7th game of the World Series. I'll forever remember that picture and that feeling as part of this process.
When in Game 7 did you know that you had this, sir?
After the last out, I mean, honestly, in this series, all bets were off in this series. There was no celebrating, there were some smiles and some anticipation, but until that last out's made in the World Series, the game's never over. I think this series proved it time and time again that no team was going to concede the game, no team was going to concede the season. But once that last out was made, I knew we did it.
Someone who follows your line of preparation for the team said it proves that the logical thought wins out. Was this strictly a victory for logic, or is there something more involved? It was a victory for what I consider what we do best, which is blend progressiveness and traditional values. And again, we get credit for being the most progressive organization in baseball, and rightfully so. We do as good a job behind the scenes at providing advanced information and progressive thinking. And then we also, I think we do a pretty good job of understanding that you have to let the players decide it on the field. And when guys like Brad Peacock, who, by the way, are analytically supported as being a little bit of a difference maker, and he goes out and prove it, then why not give him the ball? That's my job, is to kind of read what I see with what I've learned and what I know. So I think it's a win for the blend that we've been able to create in this organization, at least in 2017, better than anyone. And I hope it's going to be a challenge for us. I hope we answer the challenge of how we continue to stay one step ahead of the competition.
What kind of advice did you give Yuli to concentrate and focus despite crowd reaction? There was that tip of the cap.
Yeah, Yuli's very mature. I mean, we called him rookie all year because he was the oldest rookie, I think, in the league, and being a first-year guy. But I think a lot of credit goes to two important guys that were by his side. One was Alex Cora. Two was Carlos Beltran. And I think he owned the moment the best he could. It was vicious in L.A. The loudest, longest boos and things being yelled at him. And he just stayed steadfast in his preparation and his game plan. His advice was just to pay respects to the issue at hand, but do his best to block that out and do what athletes do, which is compartmentalize and compete and play and eventually pay the punishment. And he understands.
Hey, did Yuli still have the baseball?
I have no idea. I didn't see Yuli after the whole game. I didn't see half our players. What's that?
He got it after the Boston series, I think. The last baseball, the last out.
Did he? Well, first baseman. Yeah. Got a good chance at it.
Hey, Jeff, with Alonzo Powell going to the Giants, what other changes do you anticipate on your coaching staff at this point?
We're just celebrating the World Series here today. We're going to have a parade, and we've got a lot of work to do after this. When you're in the World Series you play an extra month, and a lot of teams get a head start on you. I do have a couple of housekeeping announcements. One is we're going to pick up the option on Altuve. We're going to pick up the option on Marwin Gonzalez. And we have agreed to terms and hired Josue Espada to be our bench coach. Those are 3 great events for our organization. Beyond that, I can't comment on anything. I'll have more announcements probably next week.
Hey, Jeff, you guys aren't Houstonians. I mean, I don't know if you caught Reed Ryan's interview on MLB Network after the game. You guys were on the field and stuff, but he broke down in tears again, being emotional, just describing what it meant to the city. Is there an anecdote, or have you heard from a fan or something that you can share with us that really has, put it into a real feeling of what it means to the city? Or
Well, I think that picture that we've seen of those fans in their house that obviously was devastated, and they're sitting there watching the final out of the World Series. They obviously have 6 to 12 months of work to do ahead in their home. I mean, that speaks volumes. I think that picture is representative of and AJ and I may not be Houstonians, but I've lived here now for 6 years. Texas was my home state when I grew up in Mexico. My first baseball game was at the Astrodome. I am from wherever I am at that time, so I do feel a kinship to the city, and I know AJ does as well. So that's my anecdote. I'm sure I'll have a lot more today from the parade and as the weeks to follow.
AJ, on that note, I mean, you think about it, the Yankees 2001 with 9/11, the Saints with Katrina 2005, Boston with the bombing. As a coach, I mean, where do you think a player gets that extra stamina to do something remarkable, like winning their World Series from those type of disasters? Where do they get that?
Yeah, no, I think our team was able to keep in perspective exactly what was going on during that whole time, and a lot of it I think is because we were one of them. We're one of the community. Our families were stuck, safe but stuck, and we were displaced. And I think when we came back, we asked the city. Every year we ask the city and the fan base to rally around the team, and it's okay for a fan base to ask a team to rally around them. And I think I saw our players step up and keep it in perspective. Obviously, gather some sort of energy, some extra motivation. We wore a patch, nothing better than Springer patting his chest when he hit the home run after we come back from for the hurricane. Somehow, some way that connects communities. And you can't always plan for it. It's not artificial. It's something that has to happen organically. And when it does, it's pretty powerful, as seen by the stretch run in September, October, and then November 1st.
Can you discuss Joe Espada and what he brings?
Yeah, real briefly on Joe. We were drafted the same year with the A's in the early 90s or mid 90s, and so I've got a long history with him. I've really respected and appreciated his approach as a coach. Stayed in touch with him through the years, and I've watched him, go from a minor league coach to a coordinator to a major league third base coach, and then change organizations to be the Yankees third base coach the last few years. So he's a tireless worker, will connect well with players, is inching towards being a managerial candidate down the road, and he has all these qualities that we feel like will be a seamless transition to come on this staff, and I'm excited to have him.
Jeff, ¿nos puede decir en español los cambios que anticipa para la temporada próxima, por favor?
Pues todavía estamos celebrando el campeonato, entonces el trabajo duro va a empezar la semana que entra, pero este equipo está bien armado para el futuro. La mayoría del equipo que estaba aquí este año va a regresar el año que entra, que significa que tenemos buen chance de repetir como campeones de la división. Pero claro que vamos a trabajar duro en los próximos meses para construir un roster que es mejor que el que tenemos ahorita.
AJ, when things got a little rough in the second half, maybe in August, and you were fond of saying, I believe in this team, this is a good team, and you kept a very stiff upper lip. Was there ever a point when you kind of wavered about if this was possible because things had kind of gone off the rails a little bit for the squad?
I never wavered in my belief in him. I wanted to keep us intact. I think one of the things that largely goes unnoticed on a 100-win team is the injuries that we did have. At one point, we had 5 starters on the DL. Correa went through it. Obviously, Keuchel, McCullers, Springer, some concussions. I mean, with McCann and Reddick. At one point during the year, we had virtually everybody on our team, go through something, and every team does that. But that's what made me nervous is can we stay healthy enough to sustain the pace that we were on? I always felt like we could win the division. You win the division, you get into a long series in the playoffs. And our goal wasn't just to win the division. It wasn't just to win a playoff series. It was to win the World Series. And I think that resolve that it takes to go wire to wire is real. I think you're going to have to fight through some adversity. Our adversity was short-lived, even though the month of August felt like the longest month of all time. because you're talking about losses, something that we hadn't done. We hadn't really had a losing month largely in a couple of years, maybe one or two in 2016. But it's very gratifying and satisfying for us to persevere, even though a 100-win-plus win season seems like it was a joyride. It took a lot to get to that point.
Jeff, Crane joked that it's been 5 or 6 years, but at times it felt like 100, you know, and 12 and 13. In 12 and 13, when, in your head, what was the earliest you thought it could all happen? I mean, I remember early on you would say, hey, if this happened, we could kickstart this thing, and, you know, it does still seem to be a little ahead of schedule considering how rough it was in 11, 12, and 13.
I do think so. I mean, I always said by 2017 we were going to be in a position where we could win a division and take a shot at a championship. But you got to remember, our first 2 draft picks were 2 high school players. We drafted the youngest player in the draft, a shortstop from Puerto Rico, and then a high school pitcher from Florida. When you're drafting high and you're picking high school players, you're not expecting a return in 3 years. You're expecting a return in 5 or 6 years. And these guys got here quickly, and then we had some good talent in the organization. I got to give a lot of credit to Ed Wade and Tim Purpur and the guys that were here before. Springer was here, Keuchel was here, Altuve was here. There were some good players, and we maximized that, and we kept adding to it. So it really wasn't until George got here in 2014 that I felt, okay, this is all up. This is going up now. George is here. We got Carlos on his way. We got other guys in the system that are coming. And when George got here and immediately succeeded, I thought, okay, we're in good shape.
AJ, can you talk about, we've heard Springer say it and Bregman say it, how it gave them so much confidence that whatever their struggles were, you'd go, like Bregman said, I was like 1 for 30. And he's like, I got you, you're good. How that really helped them feel like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, you know, I've always operated with that belief has to come before performance, you know, and my job is to get the most out of players, and sometimes that means you gotta you gotta beat on them a little bit and reprimand them, or what we think coaching is. We think coaching is yelling. We think coaching is berating. We think coaching is sort of this physical altercation about, like, get yourself together, and it's not. It's belief. To me, coaching is belief, and you stay true to the guys when you know they're working behind the scenes. You know what they're doing to put themselves in the best position to succeed. My job is to believe in them and to push them in the right direction. And I think for Bregman, for Springer, for Altuve, for Correa, they all need different levels, of coaching. And my job is to find that button to push whenever they need it. And if they're down and they need someone to pick them up, then I need to be the guy to be that. If they're riding a little too high and I gotta keep their keep them working in the same direction. That's my job too. And I'm surrounded by a great coaching staff and support staff that get it. That we're not gonna turn our backs on the players. And this game is about players. It'll always be about players, and it's about maximizing the opportunities the players have.
On that same note, during those nail-biting moments of a couple of those last games, did you do anything? Did you talk to the players? How did you handle those moments where?
I think, and I've got asked that a couple different times, and I think if you do your job as a manager or as a coach, leading up to that point, you don't have to overreact in the moment. And if you don't overreact in the moment, the players won't overreact. So everybody wants this big moment where you give a victory speech or you give a motivational speech. That started in 2015, the day I got the job. You have to create a process that these guys know you're going to be the consistent heartbeat in the room. I will always be the calmest guy in the room. There's a little bit going on underneath the scene. Don't confuse the stoic face for lack of nerves. But I will always be the calmest heartbeat for these guys, because that's what I preached when I first got here. It's what I've preached in 2016. It's what I preached for 2017, and it'll be what I preach moving forward, because I urge our players to be themselves on the biggest stage. And if I ask that out of them, then I certainly have to be that for them.
One last question. I don't know how strategies works in baseball, but can you credit someone on the way you face Turner? Because it seems that Turner down, but how you try to minimize Chris Taylor something that
Right.
because for me, what's the critical?
Sure. Well, their roster never stopped of being somebody that we had to address. I mean, the way we handled Bellinger, the way we handled Seager, the way that we hit their bullpen. I mean, the strategy to beat them was to outlast them, and we did through Game 7. But what most people do, they see us on TV, they don't realize how many people behind the scenes are really doing a lot of the legwork on giving us the ideas on how we're going to do that. Whether it's a field scout named Chris Young, who was our advanced scout, whether it's 2 advanced guys that work tirelessly in the front office, Tom Kochweiser and Matt Hogan, Antonio Padilla, names that you guys will never hear. But those of us in the clubhouse and those of us know that we won the World Series because of the actions of a lot of people. And we need to give credit where credit's due. The players apply it. The players go put it out on the field. The coaches encourage. The coaches obviously educate. Alex Bregman stealing third base. That wasn't by accident. That was a strategy put in place by advanced scouting to analytics to our coaching staff to a player. And that process won us the World Series. And it's going to be what helps drive us to win the next World Series.
Speaking of next World Series, I know you say planning for next year comes later, but a year ago you had a wish list and Jeff went out and got everything that you needed.
Well, that's how it works.
That's how it works, yeah.
Vegas odds makers have you guys as the odds-on favorite to win it again next year. What's the encore? You know, the parade. Can we plan for the parade next year?
We had a good roll of the dice this year, but the dice were weighted in our favor because we have a really good roster and we have good coaches and a good organization. Fortunately, there are very few times when you win a World Series and almost your entire team is coming back. Yes, we have a few free agents, but the core of our team is coming back. And we could roll out the same roster we have right now, and I think we'd have a good chance to win. Does that mean we're not going to do everything we can to improve the roster? No. Our work starts. I mean, we've been getting after it. There's been a lot of people here at Minute Maid Park working, and we have a plan, and the GM meetings are a week from Monday, and we'll be there, and we'll be active. But we may not make as many transactions this year as we made last year because we've got a lot of guys coming back. But we'll address whatever upgrades we think are out there. And as soon as AJ gives me that list, I'll get to work on it.
Nice. You know what? The holidays are close. That Christmas list will come pretty soon.
What areas would you like to improve?
Well, we've got to replace a couple free agents that are going to be leaving us. But, I mean, I think a lot's been talked about our bullpen. I think maybe not performing in the postseason, but these guys did a great job during the season. Devenski was an all-star. Ken Giles racked up a ton of saves. Peacock was amazing in the bullpen. We're going to have the same issue next year where we have more starters than we have positions in the rotation, and some of those guys are probably going to end up in the bullpen again. We've got a lot of our relievers coming back. We've got guys in the minors that are knocking at the door that are going to be here soon. So we'll figure out a way to piece together a pitching staff that we feel can get us through the regular season and also add to it if necessary to help us in the postseason. But our linup's going to be pretty solid.
We won the World Series. Let's go celebrate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, any questions for Lance?
Lance, what's feelings like now?
Always first, Mark.
You bet. Lance,
He's on?
What are your feelings now, 24 hours later?
Really tired, but I think today's going to be super special for, everyone who's being able to be out here to celebrate, but also for people who aren't. The response from the city and from the fans has been overwhelming. Last night we showed up, we got here, and there was like hundreds of people just here cheering us on, and that was awesome. My whole street that I live on was decorated, the whole street with like blue and orange streamers and signs, and it's been cool to see the city react the way they have.
Has it set in yet, that World Series champions, like what that really?
No, I was talking to JV the other night after we won, and he was like, really, really taking these moments. And I was like, no, I am. He's like, no, you're not. Like, not saying it in a bad way, just like, because JV's, this is his third time here. And, he's been in the league 13 years, and you saw how much it meant to Beltran and a lot of those other guys that, this is my third season, and I'm a World Series champion, and I've been in the playoffs twice. I think it's, hard to really kind of take it all in and appreciate it to its fullness, but I'm sure over time I definitely will.
The celebration was your huge hit.
Yeah.
You know, your huge grounder to get in a run. I do imagine, though, there's going to be a party that will always remember you being able to get a run in the World Series, especially, you know, an AL pitcher in an NL situation.
Yeah, you know, when I was walking up to the plate, I remember back to the previous night when we had those two guys on and we were unable to get them home, and how it kind of came back to bite us because we lost 3-1 with a pretty good opportunity there. So my only focus was trying to get the run in. I'll forever think about the ball I just missed that foul back, but I was really happy to be able to get it in. I think lost in it all is how tough hitting off Darvish is, and how good that guy really is. I mean, he just had 2 bad games, but we were just hot, and we were seeing him well. It's a guy we're comfortable with because we've seen him so much playing against Texas. So being able to just put the bat on the ball was a huge step, and obviously Mac made a good read, and then Springer comes up with a huge home run to, really kind of. It was only the second inning, but it kind of felt like the game was out of reach at that point.
Through the years, you've watched so many victory parades on TV and kind of envision yourself in that moment. You're about to do the same thing. How wild is this?
No, the whole experience is wild. Really for me, we knew how much the city wanted this and how excited they were going to be. But I think landing from the time we've landed yesterday, the overwhelming excitement of everyone is just really kind of coming through, which I think is the coolest part. So I heard there's going to be over 700,000 people there, possibly. So it's just going to be awesome to see everybody out. We're kind of seeing the videos and stuff now of people the night of we won, and there's a really emotional picture of a couple watching the game kind of in their home on coolers. So I think this game meant a lot more than just, your average World Series win.
I was going to ask you what it's been a day and a half now. What has been the coolest thing to happen to you or person you've heard from since you've been a World Series champ?
No, I mean, one of the coolest things was showing up yesterday home. And there was, like I said, there was hundreds of people here. They were cheering for us. They're running after our cars and just super excited. And then I said my street, the whole street literally is filled with champagne balloons and signs and people carving out 43 pumpkins and all type of stuff. So just seeing the support and how exciting people are, because it means a lot to us as players. But I think the city has waited so long, and they've had to endure so much heartbreak along the way, so many opportunities of really close times of winning to be able to bring the first championship to Houston is going to be forever special.
What are you going to do in your off time until next season?
I'm going to watch TV with my dogs a lot. Everyone keeps asking me, are you going to go on a trip or, whatever? And I'm like, look, man, I'm probably going to be in the house a lot. So, I think just relax, and we have about a month or so to kind of celebrate and take everything in. But it's too early. But people on this team are still motivated, dedicated athletes to continue to achieve and grind and want more. So I'm sure that everyone will take this in, and but after about a month or so, it becomes about next year and what you can do to prepare to continue moving forward.
The Major League team was fairly bad during your.
Sorry?
The Major League team was pretty bad during your early years in the organization. Did you ever wonder what have I gotten myself into by getting drafted here?
Well, I didn't have much to say on who I got drafted by. But I was, funny story is on draft night, it was the first year with the new rules. And I was expected to go much higher than I was eventually picked. At the time, I was really upset. But I think looking back on it, I was blessed with the best opportunity that could have been offered to me, just from the way that the organization kind of believed in me from the start, and the way and their vision they had in me. We knew, and I think Sports Illustrated came out with the cover in 2014, but we knew those years were going to be tough. There was no kind of hiding behind it. The organization was very upfront with it. Jeff came out and said, "Hey, it's going to be tough for a while, but we have a long-term plan." And we have to kind of stick with our guns, and eventually, it's going to come to fruition. And the organization got a lot of flack for it. people wrote a lot of bad things and said a lot of bad things about the way that the Astros were kind of doing things. But, now it's not even, redemption or revenge. It's just it kind of vindicates what their ideas were all the time. So to be part of this organization has been nothing but amazing experience for me.
The average fan, sees you guys on TV, even us reporters, we have no idea the pressure you guys have at the pitch now in this era. You're a young man, and you're in the World Series, and you have the responsibility and the hopes and the dreams of the city and your team. How do you shut down all that noise and just to concentrate on your catch and the ball?
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds a lot worse than what I was thinking. I knew coming into the game the guys were really prepared to play well that game. Like I said, Yu is an extremely talented pitcher, but we felt comfortable facing him just because we had seen him so many times, and we felt very confident. We felt like we had played good. We had played well the whole series, and I just was trying to do my job for as long as I could. And I hit some guys here and there, but overall, I made some big pitches when I needed to, and the guys that came in after me made big pitches when they needed to, and World Series champs.
Lance, it was interesting hearing Jeff talk about the window for this team. And in 2012, you and Correa joined the organization both out of high school, and maybe a little bit, ahead of schedule as a group. Is there any point of this or any part of the process where you thought you guys are advancing a little bit ahead of schedule here?
Talking about when we come to the minor leagues?
The entire team.
Oh, obviously in 2015, I think that was a little bit, advanced. The team started off the year that unbelievable start, and then I got called up, and Correa and other guys like Velasquez and those people got called up. So I think 2015 I got drafted in 2012, and my first full season was 2013. So 2+ years into my development out of high school, I kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit, and was just glad for the opportunity. So I think it's hats off to the organization and the scouting department and what they were able to do. It's also hats off to a lot of the guys here. We had guys here that turned into Cy Youngs and hopeful MVPs, Jose Altuve, and guys like George who came up and were playing ahead of schedule, and how good they were playing and how well they were doing. So it wasn't just the prospects that were coming up or the plan that was advancing. I think it was just the players that stepped up along the way and really were, have been playing amazing baseball ever since.
Lance, how would you feel about an invitation to the White House?
It's one of those things that it's talked about a lot now, right, in our society, and there's obviously a lot of things that this country is going through and things that people need to deal with. But it's the White House, and it's hard to say you're not going to go, see the most historic building in our country, and one of the landmarks that really make up the country. And in the media, there's so much negativity, and rightfully so. I think there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, and a lot of things that we need to do as a country moving forward. But at the same time, the White House stands for a lot, and I would be crazy not to want to go and see that firsthand.
Hey, George, did you expect this World Series that you had? Of course you have confidence in yourself now, but what you did was historic. Did that surprise yourself?
Yeah, I don't ever think a player, or at least from the perspective that I have, that you're going to go out and do something like that. The only thing that I try to do is just help the team any way I can. Whether that's a walk, a base hit, steal a base. So do anything I can, and for me to go out and do something like that, is obviously great. But for me, it's honestly all about the team. I could care less about the individual stuff.
Just a quick personal curiosity note, man. This was ages ago, but I think it was in the championship series. That catch that Marvin was about to get, and you jumped in front of him, and he looked at you. Did it cut you out?
No, he asked me if he should even be out here playing. And I said, I'm sorry. That's just a time where it just shows you how loud it is. And he was calling for it. I obviously didn't hear him. We also do a silent communication, which is you wave your arms, you flap your leg out. Obviously didn't see him. Then I jumped over him, didn't know he was there. And he offered me his glove. He said he should just go back in the clubhouse and sit down. I said, I'm sorry, I love you, but he didn't believe me.
Hey, real quick, any questions for Lance? Lance, are good. All right, guys.
Thank you. I figure he's answered, so see you, buddy.
Bye, Lance.
George, you predated the Crane regime. Did either Jim or Jeff ever come to you early in your career to say, look, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently, it may take a while?
No. I think I was obviously the last draft before them, but they've always treated me as their own. I've kind of always fit the mold, I guess. I've always been the mold. I've been here since Jeff and Jim first took over the team, and I haven't been treated any differently. There wasn't anything that was said to me, of their plan or their perspective. I've just been in the organization and have gone through the process of their plan.
Jeff just said basically, sorry, that when you got here, that was sort of the first to the big league team. He thought that was the first indication that he thought that things weren't going to go according to plan. Just the fact that you came here and did well was that the team was on a right track. Did you ever get that sense that you're getting here was that big a deal in terms of the long-term plan?
I don't know. I've kind of just been here and played and have had to go through some tough times. Obviously, some down years, and me being here, I think was the first wave of guys like Correa, McCullers. That those are the guys that have really been in the organization for a long time, and I was able to come up and I struggled at first and then was able to find my way. But I think that opened the door to show other guys in our organization, Correa, Lance, Preston Tucker. You're seeing a lot of homegrown guys throughout the draft play in the major leagues and have an impact on our team.
George, could you add your thoughts about what Lance was discussing, the potentially going to the White House? About that.
I mean, it's exactly like he said. That's one of them. That's the most historic place in our country. It stands for a lot. It means a lot to a lot of people. I've been there. My grandfather worked in Washington for years. If the team goes, I'm going. I'm not gonna say no. I understand the impact of it. I understand the stuff that's been happening in our country, and yes, that there is things that have to change, but there's always things that have to change. There isn't anything that's ever going to be perfect. But if the team goes, I'll go.
What does it mean to you? Back on not that individual goals. You're the MVP of the World Series. What does that mean to you?
Honestly, I don't really think it's sunk in yet. What's up, dude? It's a crazy thing to think of that, as long as I live, you can't take that away from me. But the most important thing is you can't take that away from our team. This team will always be remembered as the 2017 World Series champions, and they can't take that away from any of us.
You talked a bit about the team rallying around and with Yuli. How did you guys approach that with him? Did you talk with him with the issues?
It's a tough thing. But first and foremost, he's a great person. He's a great guy, and I don't think he meant to be offensive. I just don't see that in him. And he was down. He still is down. He's a great guy that made a mistake, and unfortunately, it got blown up. It got seen. I don't condone stuff like that. He doesn't, and he made a mistake. But he's my teammate, and I love that guy to death, and I will always have his back, and I will always be there to support him. And everybody was there to support him. He went through a tough time. I'm I'm sure he still is. You know, stuff like that doesn't go away. But you know, he went through a rough 3-4 days, but the team supports him and will always continue that.
George, if you had to pick out the most memorable thing that's happened to you, or that you've seen or noticed since winning the championship the other night, what would that be? Either with you or you noticed.
You know, I got a chance to watch a few videos of the fans who were here for part of the watch party, and to see that amount of people in a stadium for a road game. That means a lot to me as a player. It means a lot to our team. It means a lot to the whole organization, and to bring the city something that I believe has that they desperately need, they desperately wanted, and so desperately deserved, is one of the best feelings in the world.
Your dad gave a beautiful interview to our Randy McElroy about how proud he is of you, what an inspiration you are. Not only to him, but your family. Can you talk a little bit about your dad? It's been watched thousands of times on our website, just beautiful, about parenting you through the years.
Yeah, you know, I've been extremely fortunate to have two great parents who have basically given up their life to provide me with every opportunity they could to get me from A to B, you know, figure out how to help me with schoolwork, how to help me, you know, get through life, and to be able to give back to them and to take them around with me means more to me than they know. And to see the joy on my mom and dad's face, to see how excited they are, and most importantly, to see how proud they are of me, makes me. I don't really know how to describe it. You know, I have the best mom and dad, you know, anybody could ever ask for. And all they want is for their son to go have fun and kind of live out his dream. And you know, to be able to give back a sliver of what they gave me is incredible.
George,
Last one for George, guys, okay.
Whenever you're hitting well, you typically say things like, I'm not being so big, I'm slowing the moment down. To get away from some kind of cliches like that, please tell me, what is the mechanical adjustment you made to get out of that slump and hit so well in the World Series? Whether it's how you saw the ball better, whether it's something in your swing. You had to have made some adjustment because it was so dramatic.
Yeah, you know, everyone always thinks that when you're going one way and then you go the other way, you did something drastic. And I can promise you I literally didn't do anything drastic. It was a conversation that I had with Carlos Beltran in the locker room, and he went out and told me and said, enjoy it, have fun, you know, be who you are, and just kind of enjoy the moment. And you know, I think as a player, you obviously know when you're not succeeding, and you tend to press, and you want to succeed so bad it causes you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. And that, you know, whether that's swinging at a pitch early or swinging at something that I don't normally swing at. And I just told myself, I don't know if I'm ever going to come back here. I don't know if this is the last time I'm ever going to play in a World Series. So I might as well go out and do what's gotten me to this point and just honestly try to have as much fun as I can and slow the game down, because it's hard to hit, and it's even harder to hit when you as a hitter starts complicating it. And I wanted to go out and simplify it as much as I can and just have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you jealous that George used to go to Disney World?
Huh?
Are you jealous that George used to go to Disney World? You going excited?
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, any questions for Chris?
Chris, what do you think right now, Harry? What's going on inside you 24 hours later?
I mean, driving through the city, seeing a bunch of orange everywhere is pretty special, you know. Took me about a half an hour to get here through downtown, and, you know, that's pretty special to see, you know, all the people that, you know, are going to have a lot of fun out there today.
Chris, with everything, you know, everyone has their own story, but you obviously have a very unique story and everything you've been through. Is it on some level still hard and impossible to believe that it's all worked out and you're a world champion with this team in this city?
I mean, it's tough to believe. I mean, I always imagine, something like this happening, but, sometimes I feel like imagination can only take you so far. You got to put in the work to get results and get there. And, for it to really happen is, unbelievable. And it's not sinking in. It's not, I know it's gonna though. I feel like it's going to, especially being out there, for this parade. This is what I'm super excited about for, to see the city of Houston, have some fun with it.
Do you ever think about what if you, a lot of times your life can just go, you take one step, you make one decision, and you're this way, not that way on a stage with world champions.
Yeah, things can change, in the flash of an eye, and, very thankful for, the opportunity I've been given to be here and to play on this great team and, 2007 World Series champs, never forget that.
Can you talk about the importance of having somebody like Carlos Beltran around as for advice and as a sage?
Super important. I think, I've had some rough times this year, and Carlos has been there just to, talk me through some things and for me to learn from him, from his experience, because he's played this game for a long time, and, his resume speaks for itself. And, me as a player knowing that, is definitely, very humbling, and being able to learn from him is awesome.
We talked a little bit after Game 5, that crazy Game 5, about the bullpen, but we cannot overlook just how strange it was, that the way that things worked out for relief pitching in the series on both sides. But what was it like to see the Astros bullpen struggle as much as?
You got to struggle to have success at times. You know what I'm saying? And you learn from the struggles, and you get better from them. And when it came down to the most important time is when we got it done. And I feel like everything that led up to that helped us in Game 7.
Dallas, I guess, no panic. You said it in the LCS celebration, and you proved it on the World Series. How you feel being a world champion, and what does this victory, in your opinion, means for the city?
Well, I don't have a voice, so that just tells you where I'm at. It means the world to us, and for the city to have our backs through everything, not just Harvey this year, but the growing pains of getting better. Bregman, it's hot outside. Why are you wearing a jacket?
Sorry, I'm late. I was taking selfies with the best fans in baseball. In traffic.
But it does. It means the world. So we're going to enjoy today and continue to enjoy each and every day this off season, because we work so hard for it. And I know that the city of Houston has been wanting this for a very long time, so they're going to celebrate with us.
You were in the bullpen at the end of the 7th, ready for what? What would you have done?
I was just trying to help CB out, because all the fans trying to get in the bullpen, trying to get Devo. He can't hold his own back there, so. No, I was ready for everything. And that's one of the things in a Game 7 that you don't talk about. Everybody's just ready to pitch, and there's no tomorrow. So everybody was available and ready to go.
Dallas, how much admiration do you have for this organization to not only get #1 picks like Correa and build around them, but also get guys like Devo and Charlie Morton and Brad Peacock, and see the potential in those guys and maximize that potential to this effect?
Yeah, that's one of the cool things is to see where we started from, and then really looking back and zeroing in on trades that got key components over here, and we traded Brett Myers, who was a quality major leaguer, but in return we got Devo, and nobody really knew at the time how good he was going to be, but now we're all talking about him. So it's it's really fun and really cool to see some of the trades that worked out, some of the picks that worked out. And honestly, when you really think about it, there was a lot more picks, a lot more trades that worked out than didn't. And if there was a few more trades that didn't work out, we wouldn't be sitting here, but they did. And so we have to give the front office credit for doing their homework. And you know, with the age of analytics and everything associated with what we do, it's pretty incredible to see how many times we have hit the bullseye, and now we're here.
Howard, can you talk about just how much fun you're having? Obviously, it was a lot of work for the season, but you know, get to this point, what's that feel like?
So much fun. You know, when the final out was made and you saw the smile on everybody's face on our team, it just made everything worth it. Every single rep in the gym, every single swing that we took in the cage or pitch that they threw in the bullpen, it's unbelievable, and unbelievable experience. It's a dream come true for all of us. And we've said that so many times, but we're still dreaming. Like this is part of what you envision as a little kid when you come back. You come back to the city. And, I mean, the city, the people here have given us a hero's welcome, which is unbelievable, and you know it's special for all of us.
Alex, your coaches, your family, everyone that you grew up with said that you had the best work ethic. For the people of New Mexico who are watching this, what do you want to tell them?
Oh, just thank you so much for all the support since day one, and you know, if you work hard and you really want to do something, you can accomplish it, and it's pretty special. I saw a few things from New Mexico, a few kids from back there get do an interview, and it's good to see that they feel that they could be world champions because they can.
Your dad told me that you thought that your grandfather was watching over you, that he got to see you now.
Yeah, for sure. He baseball guy. He signed Dick Allen to the largest contract in history back in the day, and helped Ted Williams become the manager of the Senators. And he loved the game. He loved watching me play, and I think he was very excited to be there.
Hey guys, any more for Devo? Let him go. I'm asking others, what are you going to do in the off season?
Take some time off, enjoy it, and then get back after it. Get back on the grind.
Nice hat.
Thank you. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Where'd you get that?
When
Devo says take time off, he'll be working out tomorrow.
Everyone gets this question nowadays, the second you win, sorry you're going to go to the White House, but I know you have, you know, on social media been outspoken at times. A lot of the guys have said, if the team goes, we're going. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts about going to the White House to celebrate a world championship?
How do I feel about it? I don't know. I think I'm going to do whatever Carlos Beltran and Carlos Correa do.
Alex, could you get your thoughts about the potential visit to the White House?
I mean, I'm going to go. That's about it. Have some fun.
So Dallas, as a fan of the game, do you have an opinion on the first pitch on Vince Scully on the second game?
Do I have an opinion about it? I mean, I thought it was really cool. I thought it took too long.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet too. Same exact thing as Dallas, actually.
So the presentation, the thought into it was really cool, and only in a place like LA could that happen. So I think anybody else, any other ballpark, any other venue, it would have taken about 10 minutes less.
You guys, now you have had this taste of the World Series title, and you'll enjoy today, obviously. Is this one of those things that, I know Alex, you put on person, like, expect
back here again?
For sure. Once you taste this success, you want to do it every year. And I mean, it's not easy to do what we did. It's not easy at all, but we are very young, and we hopefully will bring a lot more of these to Houston.
Alex, how much sleep have you gotten since Game 7?
Gotten like probably like 14 hours. Yeah. On the plane, on the floor, in the shower.
Dallas, could you talk about both you guys talk about what it means to be world champions?
Didn't you already ask me this in L.A.?
No, I'm not here.
I know you asked me this.
I mean, it means we're world champions, and that we don't take that lightly, because there's no better team than us in 2017. We'll try to continue that on here next year, but at this point in time, we're going to enjoy it, and here we're going to celebrate with the fans in the city of Houston for all off season.
What's the coolest thing that's happened so far to you? Since it happened, or who have you heard from that surprised you? Congratulate.
Well, one of the first ones was JJ. So, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that for us. Just being in the city, seeing what he's done for the city, seeing what he's gone through. There's nobody I'd rather hear from. So that's number one on my list, and it should be for a lot of guys.
Alex, could you go on thoughts about being world champions, how they hit you, what it means to you?
Yeah, it's so special. I mean, it means the world to me. It means everything. It means everything to this team, and we're gonna enjoy it for a long time here in Houston.
Alex, it really seemed that you were more of yourself in this World Series than you even usually are. That although it's only been 2 years, but you've been in the big leagues. It was, I don't know. I just seen that you embraced it and were so darn comfortable being outward like that. Do you think that it took like that kind of a stage for whatever reason to make you feel so comfortable being that way?
No, not really. I feel like I was comfortable the whole year, but just a super fun time. Like the most fun I've had playing the game of baseball with the best teammates, best coaching staff in the world, and I don't know, I was just having a blast. Every single pitch was locked in at every single pitch, just like every one of these guys. We were living and dying on every pitch, and every ball that we had when we were at the plate, it was a swing one way. Every strike, it was a swing the other. Every time we got out, it was, oh no. Every time we got on base, it was, let's go. So it was just great. It was crazy.
The stakes of everything. It brought out a lot, I don't know.
It was just, it was fun. It was a blast.
Have you seen the clip of you clutching the dugout rail and howling at the boot or howling at the...
Oh, no, I've never seen it.
What were you saying, or what were you...
Oh, I was just pumped up. I was fired up. We just won the ALDS. Just beat Chris Sale and Craig Kimbrell, two superstars, possible Hall of Famers.
Can you talk about just the
when
fact
you were
that
up at bat, how did you handle your nerves when you were hitting up there with all those people and you're so young?
Well, I think one of the things that's cool about the playoffs is that you got to face the same pitchers so many times, so you start to feel more comfortable against different guys. And honestly, just trusting in the preparation put in, just believing in yourself, and we've played. I think it was game like 210, counting spring training. So you feel pretty at home in the box. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, you guys beat some of the most storied franchises in baseball to get to this point, to win the World Series. I don't know if that makes it any more special. Can you talk about that? Yankees.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't think anybody's ever gone through New York and Boston. We did that, and I finish it off in L.A. That was crazy. Probably the 3 most storied franchises in the game, and to go through the 3 biggest cities and just, yep, did it. It's pretty special.
Someone on MLB Network said that this was the Astros' success is an example of the fact that logical thinking wins out. Do you think this was a logical progression by this team toward the goal, or was there something more involved?
I don't know. I think our front office did a hell of a job with their off-season additions that they added. This guy was the biggest steal of the last off-season. I mean, maybe he has the best stuff in baseball. And then you got McCann, Beltran, Reddick, and then you signed Verlander. I mean, it's pretty special for us young guys to have the opportunity to play with guys like that.
And the best restaurant too. How do you feel? World champion, your son here, you're sharing it with him. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't really know what's going on, but he knows. He knows something good happened. He knows that he knows the Astros won, and that we're going home to Florida soon. But he's happy, and yeah, as you can see.
You obviously have confidence in yourself as a pitcher, as a professional, as a father. But were you surprised the stuff that you brought to that game, to the moment of the game, and to what it meant to the franchise?
No, I wasn't surprised. It's kind of like a test, like you study for a test in school, and you know you're ready, but nobody else does, that kind of thing. And and I think the ball coming out of my hand, it didn't surprise me, because I had good stuff all year. I've had good stuff my whole career. It was kind of I wasn't throwing as hard, but I've always been able to spin the ball. I've been able to move the ball, so. Stuff-wise, it's been there. I think the problem has been execution. It's been consistency. It's been health.
Is this parade today going to be is this the moment where you take it all in, or has it been a process since the win?
No, because I mean, while things are happening, you're an observer, and then you have a chance to reflect on what happened. And it still hasn't sunk in yet that we won the whole thing. I mean, obviously I know we did, but the ramifications and that reality hasn't really set in.
Charlie, a lot of guys, I mean, they'll play the game their entire career. Some of them never make the playoffs. Some get to the World Series, they lose. You had been close, but what's it like as a veteran who's been through a lot to finally? You could say that in your life, hey, I am a World Series champion, and you were just a role player. I mean, you had a huge contributing role in this win.
It's exciting for me. It's because we play the game for different reasons. We play the game because we love it. We play the game because it's something that we worked our whole lives for. We become professionals. And obviously we have to, I have a family. I have to provide for my family. But you also do it because you like the challenge of it. You like overcoming adversity. You enjoy doing those things with your teammates. And this is the epitome of that. I mean, this is the best that we could have done this year.
Yeah, last question. We gotta go.
How much of your success on the 7th game was just because of the fact of adjusting to the umpire's strike zone?
I never think about an umpire strike zone, ever. I think that some umpires, they have zones, like hot and cold zones. Sometimes they'll give you a pitch a little bit off the plate. Sometimes they'll miss pitches that are on the plate. But I don't think about that at all. I'm thinking about the hitter. I know that the umpire is back there doing the best job that he can, and so I don't even give it a thought. I'm competing against the hitter. I've never done that.